future. Won't surrender, faith is like a fire that never burns to embers. The voice of the unheard. Love is the answer.
I gotta speak it, believe it, that's how I feel inside.
I can't sit here quiet.
You can take my heart, you can take my breath when you pry it from my cold dead chest.
This is how we rise up. Heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up. Heart is beating faster, feels like thunder. Magic static, call me a fanatic. It's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance, you can't resist us. Can you hear me? Are you listening? Sleeping and the shadows could be making history. Through the fire, on the water, used to be a slave, but now you are a conqueror.
They can take my heart, they can take my breath when they pry it from my cold dead chest.
This is how we rise up. Heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up. Heart is beating faster, feels like thunder. Magic static, call me a fanatic. It's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance, you can't resist us. We're rising up, rising up, we're rising up, rising up, we're rising up. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance, you can't resist us. This is how we rise up. Heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up. Heart is beating faster, feels like thunder. Magic static, call me a fanatic. It's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance, you can't resist us. And ooh, I was gonna get that one out. Welcome to another episode of Straight Talk with Joe Villano. I am obviously Joe Villano. We are post-election time, and I don't know if anyone else just glad this is all over, or is it just me? Listen, obviously, some disappointing results going around, not only in the state but around the country. We're gonna dissect all that and see what happened. Obviously, we'll talk about the 13th race. I have finally thought out. It was cold. I wish election day was on Monday and not Tuesday. But let's get through the formalities here. Of course, I am Joe Villano. I am your host, your guiding light, who will continue to sit there and be your guiding light through the craziness that is what's going to be coming for the next 2 years at least. I mean, buckle in. It's going to be a rough 2 years coming up. So, but we're still going to be here as we are every week to give you the play-by-play and to call out the craziness when we see it. And of course, this show always works best when you are involved. 203-679-9610 if you want to call in and be on the show. Or of course, you can always email us straighttalkjv@gmail.com. And of course, if you're on the message boards, if you're on social media, you could go ahead and check us out on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook. We are always here, or you could always watch the show later on. So make sure you like or subscribe to the channel. And of course, we don't have to put up the disclaimer anymore because obviously election over. Mr. Hanson is back in the house. Mr. Hanson, your comments regarding your defeat was child. Actually, it was actually dead on. actually, and we're going to go through it. So I'm glad you're here, Mr. Hansen. And if you do disagree with me that much, you can feel free to always call in and we can have that discussion. So let's obviously talk about the 13th. Obviously, that was our race. And we lost that by, I think, a little over 20-something hundred, about 2,700 votes or whatever. And I want to thank Meriden. We did actually pretty well in Meriden, actually a lot better than what we normally do here in the city of Meriden. The surprising was with the redistricting, we actually got hit pretty hard in Middletown, which was a lot off. And we got hit, really, the big shocker was Cheshire. Cheshire just did not come out at all. Republicans did not come out, which was absolutely a shocker to me. But you know what? It's a new district. It's things have changed a little bit, so we're getting in. Now let's get to Mr. Hansen's comments, because I'm taking it he's offended by is that I still believe to this day, and I'll stand again. Anything I say, I always stick by, because I'm not one to just throw words out there like it didn't mean anything. And I think he's taken offense to. I told her that she is an absolute horrible candidate, and she is. It is. She is still a very horrible candidate, and I think she is going to be an absolute disaster for this district, and not only for the district, but for the state in general. Because remember, there's only 36 of them up there, and she will hold a lot of power. But if you have been paying attention to what she's been saying this whole time, she basically wants to socialize everything. But really, her first comments in her email, if you haven't read the article in the Record Journal. The first thing she actually said was, I want to thank all my union brothers and sisters for all that they did. We finally got one of our own up there, which kind of takes me back to what I've always said. Her special interest is not you. She does not care about you. This is a woman who 4 months ago, no one's ever heard of. She's never done anything for the city of Meriden. She's never done anything for the people of the city of Meriden. She has absolutely no idea what they need or what the surrounding areas need. All she knows is how to make special deals up in Hartford. That's all she knows how to do. And that's all she's going to do up there. And I still believe to this day that she will be an absolute disaster. She was probably the worst candidate. And really, I'm almost insulted by it, because I think she was the most uninformed candidate I've ever met in my life. Truly the most uneducated candidate on the issues at hand that I've ever met. And I've been through some horrible candidates on the other side. She was absolutely clueless. And anyone who watched that debate understands that. And that's why I said, listen, I was never running against her. We were never running against her. We were running against that D that comes after her name. And that's true for most Democrats. That is true for most Democrats. I mean, I was called everything under the sun on election day. Everything from a fascist to also, I mean, fascist. I was called a Trump supporter or election denier. I was all. You came off very. Where did I come off angry during the debate? Is that what you're saying? Because I held her accountable for the things she said. If you're a nonprofit in this state, I would definitely watch out for what she's about to do when she gets up there, because she obviously has an absolute hatred for corporations. Now, remember. Most of the nonprofits like the YMCA and Boys and Girls Club, they are corporations. They are corporations, and they do get large endowments. So she is going to be coming after that. Now, listen, we always respect the will of the people, and we respect people's votes. Well, you are a socialist and borderline communist there, Mr. Hansen, so that's probably why you were called it. But listen, I always respect the will of the people and the votes. Hands down. Always do. Listen, our job is to simply go out there, put our message out there, and see if it resonates with the people. Now, in a city where you get a ton of handouts, and if you look at where like Middletown, or you have the college kids who absolutely know nothing about the real world. they're mostly liberals. And as you get older, you start to become more conservative. Now, again, I see in Israel Putnam, somewhere where I spent my entire day, and I did that on purpose. I spent my entire day at Israel Putnam, and I greeted every single person that came through Israel Putnam. Because if everyone remembers 6 years ago, we lost that election in Israel Putnam, and we lost that by 450 votes. We actually won Israel Putnam this year. So our night started off real good. Cheshire, unfortunately, was our downfall. Cheshire just did not come out for whatever reason. And I'm sure they had their reasons. Obviously, the Democrats came out. It could have been about the schools, and they wanted to pass the budget for the new schools. That was kind of a mixed reaction over there. But for whatever reason, in the next couple of weeks, we'll dissect those numbers. We'll see what happened, and we'll go there. But as far as all my comments about our senator-elect is dead on accurate, and I'll stand by every single one of those. And listen, I've always been very cordial and congratulated the other side. And again, I still do that now. But this one here was this was an insult to everybody here in the district. The fact that the Democrats put her up, I think, was an insult to everybody. And again, I highly doubt Republicans came out and voted Democrat. I highly doubt that. But that being said, you never know. Maybe they did. Who knows? But I don't think in Meriden. I think we did extremely well in Meriden. And listen, time will tell. Time will tell. We will be watching what happens up there, obviously, come January when the sessions comes back into play. We'll be watching. But listen, I don't want to hear anything from any liberal or actually anyone who voted for her when they passed tolls, because if you didn't watch the debate, she's all for tolls. So don't be surprised when that happens. Don't be surprised when they're giving thousands of dollars to everybody that's within their special interest. Don't complain about it. Just take it. So, I mean, to me, listen, this was never about me. This was never about me. Listen, I'm perfectly fine. I'm going to be fine. I looked at my bank account the day after, and listen, I can still smile. I can leave here anytime I want. The people I feel bad about are the ones that can't leave. The ones that are going to not be able to pay to heat their house, not be able to have the money to put food on the table. Those are the people I worry about. Those are the people that my whole campaign has been about. And they're the ones that are actually going to suffer at the end of the day. They're the ones that are going to suffer at the end of the day. I could leave anytime I want, Mr. Hanson. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So leave. I could. But that doesn't do anything for the people that are suffering, that cannot leave. And she is not going to be the person to help you. She is your tax and spend liberal. Every time she talks about reinvesting and investing here, investing there, it means spending your tax dollars. That's all it means. That's all it means. So, listen, at the end of the day, elections have consequences. We say that every single year. And until the citizens are ready to change, it is what it is. And again, for those of us who could leave, we could. And for those who don't, could stay. And for those who can't, I feel bad for you. I apologize. But yeah, Craig, you're more than welcome to call in. More than welcome to call in. Because I want you to explain to me what made her such a great candidate. I want to know what positions did she do that made her such a great candidate. Even the abortion part, she really can't sit there and say she's good on, because 80% of America disagrees with her, because she's on board with Planned Parenthood, who says kill up to the very last minute. So that's where she agrees on. So really, I mean, there's nothing she had and nothing she said that you could turn around and say, you know what, I like that position. I'm gonna support her for that. So, I mean, again, you can sit there and disagree with me because you're a far left-wing liberal. So, I mean, you love her. You know, you love when she turns around and says, you know, we need to take over child care. We need to take over nonprofits, and we're going to take their money, and we're going to spend it. You got to love when she wants to say, I want to take over hospitals. I mean, you love that stuff as a far left-wing liberal. And that's where she is. Now, for the rest of us, and again, and unfortunately, most people are just not informed on the candidates. That's just a fact. And they go in there and they pull that lever for a D. I said this when Crystal Blake was running. You never heard her voice until the debate night, and she answered one question and then was silent again. Because she knew, just be quiet. Just be quiet. Don't say anything. It can't get you in trouble. And the same thing happened for Jan during the debate. They told her, stick to this paper right here. Just stick to what you know. Stick to the education. Just keep saying it over and over again. Don't answer any of the questions that were given. Just say right here, what's right here. And like I said, somebody tell me what she's done within the last, before 4 months ago. Have you ever heard of her? No, ever, never. Never. And now she's your new senator. And like she said, I want to thank my brothers and sisters of the union who got her over there. We've got one of our own. That's what it's all about for her. Like I said, she threw the nurses under the bus. You think she's going to hesitate to throw you under the bus? She won't hesitate. She won't hesitate for a second. But like I said, elections have consequences, and that's okay. Like I said, at the end of the day, I'm going to be perfectly fine. At the end of the day, I'm perfectly fine. I'm still rich. So, so I'm good. There's nothing about being a sore loser. It's just facts. Again, we sit there and always say we respect the will of the people. The people decided. The people decided that that's the direction they wanted to go. Okay. We're fine with that. We're not happy about it, but, it is what it is. That's what democracy is all about. Well, do you know what I wanted to show you, Mr. Hanson? Did anyone see the video I posted? Listen, this is what Democrats do. And again, and this has already been filed with the post office, which I don't know if anyone saw it. But this is the kind of stuff that we talk about. When we talk about, the tactics of the far left. And this lady here is a far left loony, by the way. So she's not the moderate. But did anyone see this video that I posted up the other day? So right here, what you see here is a Jan supporter taking out our mailer that we paid to have friggin' sent in, removing it, and then putting in, first of all, illegal to be putting that stuff in the mailbox to begin with, but to be taking our mailers out, and not only did it there, but did it to 3 others that we have video on. That's your typical liberal right there. That's your typical liberal. That, and of course, all of our signs, the big signs that went missing. But that right there is your typical liberal. Delusional from the world. Who thinks that, she's doing a better service for everybody else. That's what liberals do, right there. You don't see that stuff from the right side. And of course, obviously, she's going to have to answer for that. She's going to have to answer for that because obviously the postal is going to contact her if they haven't already. But that's the kind of stuff you guys do. That's stuff you're not going to see the right doing. And you can laugh at it. It's not going to be a laughing matter for her, unfortunately, because she's got at least 3 counts on her from the videos that we sent over. But we're not sore losers. Listen, at the end of the day, it's an election. It's an election, and there'll be another one next year, and another one in 2 years, and another one in 3 years. To state facts on what's going to happen and predictions, usually that I'm pretty damn accurate on, I would say, again, she was the most horrible candidate I've ever seen in my life, who knew absolutely nothing. And that was on full display during the debate. But, like I said, she could prove me wrong. I doubt it. But she could. And we'll hope for the best. That's what I said. That's why we always wish them the best. We always wish them the best on that. We'll get into that. Are you talking about the Board of Ed? We'll get into that next week when we get back when we get back into the normal process. We'll be talking about the Board of Ed. We haven't forgotten about that. Obviously, election time has taken a priority there on everything else. So again, congratulations to her. She won. Now, hopefully, she does the best with it. Again, I don't have high hopes for it, but you never know. Now, obviously, we had the 83rd race that was razor thin. And I believe Vizino won by 114 votes. Now, I know how that one stings. And again, I feel for Lou Arata because I've lost by 150 votes. I know losing by 114 must sting even more. Must. But I will say, Vizino did run a pretty good campaign. I talked with him and his father. I talked to him and his father for a couple of hours while we were at Israel Putnam. And listen, he knocked on doors. He did the work. He absolutely did the work. No one could take that away from him. And the fact that he's a young, I mean, he's not very charismatic, but I mean, he's approachable. Let me put it that way. But listen, I think he's going to do a decent job. We'll see what happens. See if he gets tangled in. I don't believe he's a far left winger. I would have liked to have seen Lou Arata in there instead, but Vizino doesn't scare me. I don't think he's like a Jan. He's not that far left. He's not a lunatic. So I have high hopes for Vizino. We'll see what happens. I think he's going to do a decent job. Obviously, time will tell if the far left gets their teeth into him and start dragging him towards their side. I think if he stays in the middle and he stays true to his roots, which is what we talked about a lot the other day, I think he'll be fine. I'm not jumping off the ledge worrying about him. As in I am on the other one. Because I think the other one, we're going to have to watch really carefully to make sure she's not going too crazy. But I think, listen, Vizino, congratulations. Again, he busted his ass. I can't take that away from him. He knocked on every door. I mean, I went me and him had signs next to each other. There are a lot of people that split their tickets, whether it was Republican or Democrat. There was a lot of Democrats that split their tickets for us, and there might have been a few that split for him on the independent and the Republicans. Who knows? I always say local politics is a personal touch. The more people you touch, the more people you greet, the more people you shake hands with, the better you're going to do. And listen, I I don't agree with his politics, but as far as campaigning style, Vecino did the work, and he was rewarded by 114 votes. Obviously, like I said, we'll dissect those numbers as they come in, and we'll see where we fell off, and maybe we can make those. Hopefully we can make those corrections in 2 years. Only time will tell, but we'll see how Jack does, and see how Jack does for the city of Meriden. The city of Meriden is not Berlin. The Berlin is a lot different than Meriden, so hopefully he does spend a lot more time here, getting to know the citizens of Meriden, and hopefully he'll be here doing a lot of outreach. Hopefully some town halls coming up where people will be able to talk to him directly and let him know what they want from their state rep in the 83rd. I know I am now a constituent of his, and I will be reaching out to him as I reach out with everybody. And we'll see what happens. Like I said, I wish Lou was going up to Hartford, but I'm not too worried about Jack going up to Hartford either. So, but we will invite him on the show, and hopefully I think he'll come on. Like I said, we had some great conversation the other day. He's a good guy, no doubt. So I know his dad, Vinny, he was a great guy too. We really had some nice conversations about his child. And listen, Jack understands that he was brought up better than most families were, especially when you talk about the city of Meriden. But he's very approachable, and that's something that goes a long way. And he doesn't sit there, and he does more listening than anything, which is always a good thing. But like I said, at the end of the day, it's not Berlin, it's Meriden. And he does need to make sure that he gets into the city a lot more and gets to know his constituents. So, and I think he's going to do that. And then we'll invite him on the show. Maybe we'll get him in a couple weeks. There will be no show. Just a programming note. There will be no show on Sunday. Listen, campaigns are tough. I mean, win or lose, whatever. I give credit to every candidate that goes out and does the work. And it is a full-time job, campaigning, especially when you're trying to do 4 towns. Again, we canvassed and we door knocked in all 4 towns. And it was a lot of work. So I am going to be on vacation come Sunday. So I will be gone Sunday. Obviously, now that election cycle is over, we'll do a show every Sunday. We won't do the shows on Thursday anymore. So the show will be every Sunday. And obviously this Sunday will not happen because I will be on vacation. I am heading to Florida. So we will pick back up the following Sunday, which is... I do deserve it. So we will pick back up on the 20th. So the 20th will be our next show after tonight. So I am going to go down, put my feet in the sand in Florida, and I am going to get away from this cold that's coming. And I am going to just relax and do the absolute nothing. I think election day, oh my God, I couldn't feel my legs by the time I was done. And I got out there at Israel Putnam at 6 o'clock. I did not leave there till 8 o'clock at night. And it was quite cold. A velo, yes, I am taking a velo out of New Haven. So, I'm going to go and enjoy myself, kick back. I am going to go on my lawn on the beach chair, and I am going to have my Dr. Pepper, some fruit, and a nice, my iPad and a nice umbrella. And I will come back refreshed, ready to go. Auntie Patty's way. No, wrong side. I'm not going to Tampa. I'm heading to Fort Lauderdale, the Grand Pelican Resort. It is an absolute fabulous place if you have never been. It is a beautiful place. It is one of my favorite places in the world. So the Grand Pelican Resort in Fort Lauderdale is where I will be enjoying myself. So I think it's a well-deserved rest. And then obviously, listen, I still got a business to run, obviously, so I won't be spending too much time away. But yeah, so that is just upcoming. I did check the weather and hurricane reports. It's already out of there. Not much damage. We'll be good to go. All good. Mr. Vidiello, I do. It's going to be 80. In fact, it's going to be 82 there all week. So I know it's supposed to be 40. And I appreciate, Daryl, your help over there at Highland School in Cheshire. I'm glad you came out. You and Jen, thank her for me, please. But, again, I think everybody that worked in this campaign, it was absolutely, you guys did an amazing job. I couldn't be prouder of the campaign we ran. Again, all we could do is put our message out there and hope it resonates enough with the people to come out and vote. And if it doesn't, that's I guess that's on me. So I'll take full credit for it. I'll take the blame. I don't blame anybody else on my campaign for not winning. I do blame that on myself. And again, I'm one of those people that will dissect everything and say, oh, what could we have done better? What can we have done more? And that's something that, again, I'll look at over the months ahead as the numbers are finalized and come out. Because I think that's important to do. But to hold anyone else accountable, I would never do such a thing. So there will be no next time for me. There will be no next time for me. That was my last campaign. I am not running again for anything. I have a business to run. I'm growing the business. The business is growing fast. So I will not be running ever again. That was my last one. And I did this one on the ask of Len Suzio and the RTC chair. And that's it. I'm done. I will support the people that want to run. I will financially support them. I will do all I can to make sure I get out there and help them hit the streets. But as far as me being a candidate, it will not happen. So, like I said, I am proud of the campaigns we've put together. But listen, sometimes you just need new blood to go in there, and you need maybe someone younger to get in there and do more. I put a lot of time and effort into everything I do. If I decide to run, it's 110% the entire way, and that does take a beating on you, both physically and mentally. It really does. If you're doing it, and I always say, if you're a Republican, you have to work 10 times harder than a Democrat in order to win, and even then, it's still a long shot. When we started that campaign, I said we had a 20% chance of winning. And that's if everything lined up. So, again, we're not one to make excuses for it. We put our best foot forward, and it is what it is. So, Roger should run. I think Roger should run. That would be a good one. That would be a good one. Roger should run. I'd support that race. But listen, at the end of the day, again, races are, elections have consequences. This is what the people decided they wanted. We're going to see if it pans out for them. But the way I see it, and again, just being out there in the streets every single day. And in fact, I was at the coffee shop today, and they were talking about it. They were talking about the future for their grandkids. What is the future for their grandkids? I mean, you got the gas tax that's obviously going to be sunsetting at the end of the month, at the end of December. That's going to go away. You have heating oil shortages coming. You already have diesel shortages now. Listen, it's not going to get better anytime soon. And with their policies up in Hartford, it's not going to get any better within years. And then they're going to be asking for tolls again. The whole toll, if you thought that the toll issue was over, it is not. Especially when you have people like her that support it. Bob is good. Mr. Williams is a good guy. Councilman Williams is a good guy. In fact, he's probably on here somewhere. So we'll he's no, he's not up. He's not up for another couple of years. But Bob Williams is a great guy, and I thank him for his support and for helping us out. So, and he stays over at Hanover. There he is. So, Bob, I don't know if you saw my brother's comments. My brother is praising you for being a good guy. They got to spend some quality time together over at Hanover School. My brother was there for most of the day on Election Day, and I know so was Bob Williams. So they got to hang out and have some good times. They got to see our old friend Kathy Batista. I see she made an appearance. 15 hours he spent over there. So he got to meet Kathy Batista in all her glory, which is always a good time when she's on it. But listen, I'm proud of everybody. Like I said, I'm proud of everybody of all the hard work and they put into it. That's all we could ask for. You know, having a great ground game is always key to trying to win an election. And a ground game for 4 towns is not an easy task. And I'd be remiss to thank Elaine Cariotti, who really she literally put as much time into this, maybe even more than me, into this campaign. I mean, she really was the anchor to the campaign. She busted her ass. And to all the volunteers like Isabel, I don't know if Isabel's on here tonight. Another one who put countless hours in to the campaign to make sure mailings went out, make sure letters were handwritten and were labeled and stamped and everything else in between, and make sure everything was mailed out on time. I mean, all the different pieces that had to come together, you know, whether it was with Tom Scott and Pam Solomon, who were the campaign manager, campaign strategist. It's all these people that came together to put this, this message out. Again, I couldn't be happier with everybody. They all put their heart and soul into it as much as I did. Like I said, some of them maybe even more. But, at the end of the day, the voters spoke, and we respect that, no matter how much we disagree with it. But that's democracy, and we have to respect that. Again, we can have our personal feelings against other people, but, as far as the actual vote, and they asked me, are you going to challenge the vote? What am I going to challenge the vote for? I can see if it was a couple hundred. It's not. So no, I'm not one of those people. I'm not going to challenge it just to challenge it and sit there and say, oh, we're going to put up a fight. That's not how it works. We respect the vote as it comes in, and that is it. So, and that's what we're going to do here. So, but I tell you who really needs to start looking at getting the campaign again. This is one that I can't wait to get involved in 2 years. George Logan, who ran against Joanna Hayes in the 5th Congressional District, which covers Meriden. That was a great race. And unfortunately, George lost by less than 2,000 votes. He was also outspent 13-1. He was outspent 13-1 and came within 2,000 votes of taking out a Democrat. And again, I strongly believe, and I hate to pick on Cheshire, but I'm going to. Because Cheshire Republicans, you should be ashamed of yourself. You guys did not come out. George Logan needed that help. When I was listening to Joanna Hayes give her comments just before the end of election night, she said, well, we're waiting on Waterbury and Cheshire. And that made me extremely happy because I was like, Cheshire's going to come out for this freaking guy because we were still waiting on Cheshire numbers. And normally we win Cheshire by about 12 to 1,300 votes. We normally win Cheshire by 12 to 1,300 votes. And I thought that was going to put us over the edge. So I thought me and George were going to be able to celebrate the following day. And we woke up to the news that Cheshire Republicans just didn't show up. And it was disappointing. But, George Logan, you should be starting right now. I hope you do not end your campaign. You can't do that. I'm not voting anymore. You just can't do that, James. That's just not an option. So that's just claiming defeat. We will never do that. We will never claim defeat. We may have lost this battle. The war is not over. So people need to remember that. This is not the end. This is not the end. This is just one election. And next year we'll do it for municipals. In 2 years we'll do it for the states once again. And George Logan, if you're listening, which I'm sure you will listen to it at some point, make sure you do not end your campaign and just keep on going. And I can't wait to jump on board and help you out. Because I think he ran a terrific campaign. I think at the end of the day, it was way too much money to overcome. And we'll have to have him back on the show too. He's been on the show a couple times. We'll have him back on the show again. And we'll talk about it. Because he ran a hell of a campaign. And his staff did a hell of a job. His staff did a hell of a job. They should be proud of themselves. And I definitely think in 2 years, the Congressional 5th District will go red. But I'll also say this. There are a lot of issues. And again, dealing with 4 towns, cooperation between the RTCs of those towns is vital. And I'll have to say, for some of them, I was not impressed. I was not impressed at all. And I think that State Central, and I think the Connecticut Republican Party as a whole, up in Hartford, needs to get their shit together. Without a doubt. And those that are in State Central, that are supposed to be overseeing the district, need to start doing their jobs. And needs to start getting on these RTCs to make them realize this is not a social club, but there's actually things to do. Lou lost by 114 votes. But some of these RTCs need a lot of help. And it's State Central's responsibility and those that are running it to make sure that they're on these RTCs, making sure they're set up for success. And I got to tell you, they're not. They're just not. And it's detrimental to candidates that are trying to run in those districts that need that support that they're just not going to get. Running 4 towns is hard enough. Doing it without the support of the RTCs around you is impossible. So there is work to do. There are places where we can improve. There definitely are places where we can improve. And those issues just need to be brought to the surface and need to be, again, they just need to be told what they are, and they need to be confronted. If we're going to have any success, the ground game and the basics of RTCs and what they're supposed to be doing, those things need to come into play. And those things need to be fixed on a local level to make sure that candidates are set up to win. Fetterman, the next Biden. Well, Fetterman, unfortunately, that's about as far as he's ever going to go as U.S. Senator. And even that, I think he's going to have a hard time with. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't make it through the whole term. But, again, it is what it is. At the end of the day, I'm afraid that it doesn't matter about the person anymore. It's about, do you have a D or an R next to your name? And that's sad. And that really is sad. And I'm a firm believer that when we have elections, there should be no R's or D's there. Just vote for the person. Make people actually, and again, we talked about it last week. I had that gentleman from Cheshire call me. Well, you didn't put Republican or Democrat on there. I was like, okay, well, if I did, would we be having this conversation? He's like, no. I was like, well, mission accomplished on my part. I want to have the conversation with you. I don't care if you're a Democrat. You said you agreed with everything that was in my letter. But you can't vote for me because I'm a Republican? That just makes no sense. But that's where we are. And the political climate is getting so partisan that it doesn't matter about the candidate anymore. It doesn't matter about the quality of the candidate. Let me put it that way. It doesn't matter about the quality of the candidate anymore. It's a matter of do they have a D or an R next to their name. And again, this goes in other states too. For Republican states, it's probably the same way. But in a place where like someone like Fetterman could be elected, for a place like Jan who knows nothing about the city or the district to be elected, if you had an informed voting base, there's no way those people would get elected. But we become so partisan and so blocked off that we won't communicate with each other that this is what you get. It doesn't matter about the quality of candidates anymore, which is probably why our state is so screwed up. So it just is what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, people have the right to. So Fetterman is the lieutenant governor from Pennsylvania, and Paul, I'm sure you don't know. In May, he ended up having a stroke, and he literally can't put two sentences together. But he has a D next to his name in Pennsylvania. So he won. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. He had a disastrous debate for the world to see. For the world to see. But yet he still won because he has a D next to his name. And like they said, they could have put anyone in that. It doesn't matter who it was. Just as long as they had a D next to their name, they were going to get it. They were going to get elected. It doesn't matter about quality anymore. It just doesn't matter. And Trump better watch himself. Trump, that's twice now he's taken a shot at DeSantis. If anyone did not see the election in Florida, oh my God. DeSantis won by over 20 points. He took heavily Democratic districts and turned them red. An unbelievable election. He is hands down, the front runner for president in 2024. Even more than Trump. And Trump was crazy to go after him twice in the last week. Someone needs to get it in Trump's ear and say, hey, pump the friggin' brakes there, buddy. Because you're going to see how quickly Trump supporters will absolutely abandon him for Ron DeSantis. Now, the people of Florida are going to be pretty pissed off if DeSantis runs for president, the people of Florida are going to be friggin' furious because nobody wants DeSantis going anywhere. You know how we always say that America is the last hope for mankind? I'm starting to believe that Florida is the last hope for Republicans in America. And that's why you're seeing people move into Florida in droves. In droves. And Trump would be wise to watch his mouth when going after Ron DeSantis, because Trump will be sitting on that island by himself. And everybody will be sitting behind Ron DeSantis. Because Ron DeSantis is Trump without all the drama. That's basically what he is. You're not going to sit there and badmouth Ron DeSantis. It's not going to happen. That's not a smart move. And anyone who's advising him should be telling him, shut the hell up. Do not do that. You will lose Republicans very, very quickly. Yeah. No one's going to badmouth Ron DeSantis and think that that's going to be a good idea for them. Every conservative is well behind Ron DeSantis. Now, granted, still to this day, I want to see a Trump DeSantis ticket. That would be great. That would be like ideal. But I just sit there and give this fair warning to Donald Trump. Watch what you say and who you say it about, because you may be very popular, but when you sit there and go after Ron DeSantis, you're going to quickly see how fast you're on that island by yourself. Because Ron DeSantis would be an ideal president. And he may be our next president. I hope so. I hope so. And I'm sorry to the people of Florida, but I hate to do that to the people of Florida, but, the country's more important, I guess. And hopefully there's someone that's just as good as DeSantis down there in Florida. I'm not very familiar with my Florida politics. And no, Rubio is not my ideal choice for a governor down there. I like Rubio. I don't like him that much. But, so on a positive note for Republicans did take over the House, so that's good. So Kevin McCarthy most likely will be the new Speaker of the House. Nancy Pelosi could finally retire. But I think Kevin McCarthy will be the new Speaker of the House. So that is wonderful news for Republicans. That means right off the bat, the Biden spending stops right now. It stops right now. So, and that is wonderful. As far as the Senate, I think we still have 4 races that are undecided. And we'll see what happens. I know they're going to have a runoff. We're going to have a runoff in the Georgia race for U.S. Senator with Herschel Walker and Warlock. So Georgia's a little special. You have to garner 50% of the vote. And they had an independent that was in the race, and he got 2%. So no one got over the 50% mark. So therefore, there's a runoff, and I believe it's December 6th, I believe, is the runoff date. So you'll be seeing, if you live in Georgia, I feel for you. You are going to be inundated with political ads once again. And of course, you're going to see a ton of money, especially if the Senate is the power, the majority of the Senate is dependent on it. Because remember, the Senate right now is 50-50. So if this race comes down to it, you're going to see, again, a ton of money going into Georgia. And I feel bad because for anyone that lives in Georgia, because every commercial is going to be a political ad. It's going to be so bad you're going to want to shut off your TV, shut off your radio. You're going to be hoping you live out in the woods so you don't have to hear any of it. That's how bad it's going to get. But overall, I mean, it was a good night for Republicans. It's just it wasn't a good night for Connecticut Republicans, I guess. So, but again, this is what happens when you live in a blue state. Democrats came out, therefore Democrats won. I think if Republicans came out, Republicans would have picked up some more seats. And again, I hate to pick on Cheshire still, but numbers don't lie. Republicans did not come out. And that's something that only they can answer for, and why that is. So, redistricting had a little bit to do with it, but if you don't come out to vote, you really can't bitch and complain, I guess. So, and all we could do is buckle in and see what happens. But like I said, I don't see much good coming out of Hartford anytime soon. So I hope I'm wrong, but I've been pretty good. I've been pretty dead on with my predictions. In fact, the only prediction I was wrong on was Kevin running for the 83rd Order Senate seat. So, yeah, when they do complain, we will. Hey, did you vote? And who did you vote for? And if you voted for the other side, you can't complain. This is what you asked for. So, but that is a wrap-up of election time. I did get a ton of emails, and I thank everybody. I thank everybody for their well wishes and for their thanks for running. It was an honor for me to do it. I always am humbled when asked to do it. I think it shows that their faith in me to push a Republican narrative and a Republican vision for the state. I'm always proud to do that. No matter whether I'm sitting behind this microphone or I'm out there in the streets, I will always push a conservative narrative and a conservative platform and a conservative agenda. And again, we'll point out the discrepancies in the liberal agenda and hope that people would just do the right thing and say enough is enough. Apparently, enough is not enough. I guess $6 diesel and $4 gas is not enough for them to make change. I guess, doubling heating oil or 40% more, paying 40% more in the utilities was not enough for people to make a change. So, to me, I still try to grapple with it every time. I still don't know how anyone could vote for a Democrat, but apparently they can. Apparently they can. Apparently they think it's perfectly fine what's going on. And if that is the case, then I guess we just live in two different realities. I just don't see it. I just don't see it at all. Even your niece voted Republican. Not Kaylee. No way Kaylee voted Republican. That would be amazing in itself. Yeah, she did. She's a hardcore liberal. But, like I said, elections have consequences. We'll see what those consequences are going over the next 2 years. And, we'll be able to sit there and come back in 2 years and say, hey, we told you so. We told you this was going to happen. Well, we'll see. Guys, so again, remember, so Sunday, we will not have a show. We will pick back up on the 20th. I will be back, hopefully a little bit more tan than I am now. Probably not, because I sit underneath an umbrella. And I will literally be sitting under an umbrella with a Dr. Pepper in my hand, with my iPad, doing useless, stupid stuff, and doing nothing else. I will have at least 3 or 4 days of absolutely nothing. And I absolutely cannot wait for that. So, if you want to find me, you have to You have to come on. I'm going by myself. You want to? You want to come? You come with me. If you want to find me, I'll be at the Grand Pelican Resort down in Fort Lauderdale. That's where I'll be, sitting in a chair, or going around the lazy river. Try a Johnny Walker Blue. I am not. Of course, I don't drink, so this is how crazy it goes. Listen. I just thought of it the other day or yesterday. I was thinking about it the day after election, and I was like, and then I just thought of it yesterday. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go somewhere. I was like, I need to get out of here for a couple of days. I think it's well deserved. I don't know if Aaron agrees with that. Aaron is going to probably be a little miserable for the next week or so, but I'll leave here on Sunday. I'll come back probably Thursday. So. But that's my gift to myself for running a good fight. So until then, guys, I love each and every one of you. I really do, and I am truly touched and humbled to be able to represent you and to put that message out there, and to be the voice and the front person to run for state senate. It was an absolute honor to do it. We did get the results we wanted. That's life. That is just being a Republican, being a red in a blue state. You know, that's just the things that happen. It doesn't mean we go away. It doesn't mean we stop fighting. It just means we have to continue. We need to keep on moving on, and and I always tell people, I'd rather be optimistic and wrong than being pessimistic and right. So I was optimistic going into this. We gave it all. We gave everything we had. We tried being optimistic in what we saw happening. And again, at Israel Putnam, the response was phenomenal. Especially for the minorities. They all came out. Don't make me regret my vote. We're rooting for you. Make us proud. And we won Israel Putnam, which has never happened before. So if there's any silver lining, that is it. We did extremely well in Meriden, and we'll have to build on that. But just because we live in a blue state does not make a difference. We need to keep fighting. So, until next time, till the 20th, guys, I love each and every one of you. We'll keep on the fight, and we'll see what happens. So God bless you guys, and of course, as always, God bless this amazing country that we live in. Until the 20th, good night, and I love you. See you later.
And the nation, and the million faces formed together, made for elevation. And the soldier won't surrender faith. It's like a fire that never burns to embers.